And now in addition to that, the host is content. And we looked at this. This is where we went in and we were able to change the front end of our site. And again, we were using jQuery themes here, but as you could see, we have the green theme. We could click on our guy. We edit the host. We could select the Vader theme. And there we have it. So you can combine modern day web technologies into the host itself. So as you copy these hosts, you have all of this content on the host, you copy, you have some configuration on the host that controls the look, the feel of what the site will look like. You copy your host, you then can edit your new host. Lots of power, lots of flexibility. And again, what I think is cool, just the integration of web technologies allow you to build a lot of sites. And again, I think depending, and I know there's dotCMS is split. We have a lot of education clients. We've got some government clients. We got a number of businesses as well. But everyone has either my department, whether it be athletics for the education, for the edu sites, athletics dot whatever college.edu, or my department mybusiness.com. There's always this continual need to push out a new site. You could certainly do it at the folder level, but doing it here at the host level, talking about the way you could kind of wildcard DNS, as I said before, provides a really flexible and a nice solution. Let me field one or two questions here. We don't actually have a lot of questions here, but someone asked, currently in 1.7, our VTL files cannot be used across hosts. So with this version, we can create our VTLs in one host and have these VTL files accessible across all our hosts. That's actually a great question. We did handle that in 1.9. In 1.9, the .parse macro, which is typically you create a VTL file and you would use your .parse macro to parse him. You could now do that across hosts. It has a syntax where you say something like the host name or / the host name and then / where it lives. And you would be able to pull that VTL on, you'd have that VTL live maybe in a template kind of host, one that all hosts inherit from, or a global kind of host, if you would, and you would be able to call that VTL file from other hosts. We have another question that came in, and it says, when do you expect 1.9 to be available for production use, which is definitely the question of the day. The answer to that is June 1. We are expecting to put out an official release candidate. We'll have some betas before then. Not sure exactly the number of betas that we'll have, but June 1 should be the first release candidate, and June 22nd is when we are expecting to release 1.9. Another question came in. It says, would you use multiple hosts, dev, QA hosts, or should that be provisioned in separate servers? I would have, I guess I hadn't really thought about that, to be honest. You certainly probably could set up an infrastructure where you build things out in kind of a dev or a QA environment. Obviously, I typically use kind of the built-in dotCMS working and live, and I would build everything in working and just save, and then when I'm ready to go live, I would publish it live. But it certainly gives you the ability to have dev hosts, as not all hosts need to be activated. So you could have a host and have a host stop that doesn't have to be live. You could actually have you can have the host live even, but have everything underneath it except coming soon or something be in working mode, and then you just right click on your host, and you would be able, if you had there, you could go to your host and you'd be able to you'd be able to publish everything underneath the host, activate your host and publish everything underneath him. It certainly is a way that you could work. Okay, I'll give another minute here. I'm not sure if anyone had one or two final questions. One just came in. It says, do you think dotCMS will ever have in-page editing? where you do not leave the page layout as you're in editing a content piece. Actually, and what we would call this like inline editing, and the answer is yes. This is on our roadmap. We are planning that for 2.0. Not in 1.9 though, but it is on our roadmap for 2.0. Someone else asks, we're asking a question as far as ports that they run, and in this case, yes, all the hosts run on whatever port you have dotCMS wire to run on. So you don't go into dotCMS, say run this host on this port and this host on this port. In our respect, or in our instance right here, dotCMS itself is running on port 80. Of course, that could be port 443 for SSL, and in that way, all of the hosts that you create would be running on that port. Okay, well, if I don't see another question come in here, actually, I just kind of want to thank you guys for attending. Again, I know kind of a short webinar here today, but it's just, it's a specific piece of functionality. But again, in summary, what we saw, virtual hosting, which is something we were able to do in 1.7, running multiple hosts in the alias. But we saw we now have the host as content, which enabled us to rotate the host around, to be able to change its CSS, to be able to rotate the theme in and out, change the host, combined with the copy host functionality, provides a lot of power, allows you to have a template. And the idea of this is twofold. One, you can have a template kind of host that you create all your hosts from, and also you can have a host that already exists and just create a new guy. I want to mynewsite.com, and you can kind of even use it as a redesign kind ability, and I imagine some people will definitely use that as you go to redesign the site. The copy host is huge functionality, and if you push other things out, gives you a lot of really, really cool stuff. And again, the example with permissions, as you can see, it provides you real granular and powerful ways to be able to manage multiple hosts, even from a permission standpoint from the top level down. A lot of power, a lot of flexibility, and just allowing web developers to use the tools that they're accustomed to and tools that make sense to them in a way, and empowering them in a way that they can easily manage their sites. So again, I want to thank everybody for attending. And we actually had 2 questions that came in, which I will let me answer those. But I do thank everybody for attending. The one question says, will it be possible in 1.9 to set a publish date in the future so that it automatically publishes without manual intervention? We do have the ability, obviously, in content. You can set a publish date. You could do things of that nature. You could wire things together in a way that things work that way. For example, we do this all the time with pulling of news or pulling of a certain kind of content. You could certainly, in a host, say if my host's publish date is up, don't allow this template to render, or this thing isn't here anymore. You could do things of that nature, so it definitely allows you to do that. We don't have a built-in mechanism right now that like auto does that. You certainly could build one. I mean, that could be done in a plugin. We have all the hooks to allow that to happen. But I do think as we move forward and as you look at push publishing, we will see more things of that nature come into play, absolutely. Someone was asking if we wanted feedback regarding 1.9, and absolutely. Let us know. Let us know what you find. We're definitely interested in feedback. You could use the list. You could use Jira for that. The dotCMS Jira is public, so you could get in, create an account, and if you don't already have one, and absolutely, we're always welcoming feedback. Okay, so again, thank everybody for coming, and hope you guys have a great day.